Coffee Roaster House. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be working on sustaining the pose that is flowing. So how do you do that? How do you not get out of breath and have to get out of the pose and then you're forever starting, stopping, starting, stopping? That was how I was when I first began a long time ago, but it is sometimes a slow process in coordinating the breath with the body. I don't want you to feel discouraged. A lot of people can feel that way, and then they give up before they even begin. So just know that it's a part of the process and that breathing is a part of the process, and we will teach you how to modify poses so you could stay in them longer, and then you just, as the muscle memory grows, you just learn to extend that breath and that pose so you're able to continue with the whole practice. Okay, so I'm going to be using a rolled up yoga mat to help me elevate my bum, to provide like bringing the floor closer to my body, like a block because I don't have a block right now. You could also use this in our core exercises when we squeeze the rolled up yoga mat in between our legs. Okay, so right now, take a comfortable seat. In your comfortable seat, I want you to feel like there's nothing binding, that your body is free to move and breathe and expand, that there's nothing, it's not difficult to be in this seat. My mom used to say, if I get on the ground, I won't be able to get back up. Well, I think that I want you to be in a place that you feel comfortable. So for my mom, I would put her in her chair. I want you to take a comfortable seat, no matter how that looks, okay? All right. So in this comfortable seat, I want you to begin the grounding process by feeling the sits bones beneath you and just stacking the body along the spine. Shoulders above the hips, head balancing upon the shoulders, elbows below the shoulders, and my arms are comfortably resting on my inner thigh, okay? Taking a soft gaze or closing your eyes altogether. As I inhale through the crown of my head. As I exhale, I exhale through the sits bones. So instead of collapsing with my exhalation, I still keep the elongation, but I direct the breath, grounding, exhale, inhale, elongating through the crown of my head. Exhale, grounding, inhale, elongating. And right now, all my breath is doing is it's finding itself in my body. It's expanding my belly upon inhalation. It's expanding my rib cage. It's expanding my sternum. I'm finding my breath inside my body. As it circulates and maybe picks up on some toxic things that aren't working for my body, then I let it go through my exhalation. Inhale good stuff, exhale the bad stuff. Right now, I'm focusing on my breath to elongate its duration, but then I'm also evening it out. So my inhalation is equal to my exhalation in velocity, in duration, and elongation. I am evening out my breath, equal breathing. As I listen to my breath, there are thoughts and emotions that may come up that require a more rigorous exhalation. So as I inhale, and I maybe have those thoughts and feelings that are just uncomfortable, I may force that air out more rigorously, like this. That forced exhalation is wonderful. It really goes to a deeper part of my lung, forces that breath out, and then the natural vacuum effect that occurs will bring breath in. I never have to worry about inhaling. The lung capacity and the way that our body is designed, breath will just vacuum itself back in. It will find its way in. Find your breath. Find your body with the breath. Once you feel grounded, gently open your eyes, and then let's meet in all fours. All right, hands and knees. Good. Taking the hands below your shoulders and the knees below your hips. And just begin coordinating the breath with the body once again. We've done this several times now in our previous sessions, and just know that it's always available for you. It's always accessible. If you are in a downward facing dog and it's not working for you, then come down to hands and knees again. You can always come down to hands and knees. I'd like you to continue movement whenever possible. But if you are unable to stay in any pose, and even coming to hands and knees and undulating your spine and breathing is not possible, then meet me in child's pose. We'll just come to child's pose, breathe in that, and then resume. When you are ready, I'd like you to push down, roll over your toes and into downward facing dog. In down dog, cycle your heels down one at a time. Bicycling your heels down, drawing in and up with the belly. Great job. Exhale, come down to hands and knees and begin undulating your spine once again. Rolling, breathing, moving, breathing. Moving your body with your breath and your breath with your body. Great. Just to get some extra wiggles out, I'd like you to thread the needle. And thread the needle is essentially lifting your right arm up and then threading the needle. Coming through the arm, the needle of the hole through the other arm, just threading that needle. And as you're in this pose, you may decide that you can roll a little bit more and twist a little bit more. Maybe rolling over to the back palate of your head. I want you to do that gently. I want you to listen to your neck. I don't want you to come into any poses that stresses out your neck. But if you find that you can maybe roll a little bit more and get in deeper into the twist, go ahead and do that. But do that with breath. As you inhale, I want you to make sure that that exhale is as long. Takes a little bit of practice and time to be able to listen to our exhalation. Exhalation determines oftentimes how stressed we are, how much we're retaining our tension. If you are inhaling but you can't exhale, that's a big sign. So listen to your exhalation. Listen to your breath. Come out of the twist, inhale up with your right arm, hands down, all fours. Begin the process again with your left arm. Up, thread the needle, coming through. Taking that twist, Now, in your thread the needle, your sides may be different than the other. As your left arm reaches through, you may be able to roll over to the back palate of your head. As you're taking this twist, feel your hips that they're still square, that you're up on your knees, and that you're gently rolling over to the back palate of your head. This is a great upper back twist. Our upper back is very stiff, and twisting it's not really designed to twist to extremes, but it can bend and it can twist. But just breathe into it, twist, breathe into it, twist. Breathe into your back body in this pose. Coming out of the pose, inhaling up, left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, coming into all fours. Roll over your toes again into downward facing dog. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, bicycle out your heels. Push your hands away. Lift your bum up towards the sky. Great job. Inhale your right leg back. Flexing that foot like you're putting a footprint on the wall behind you. Exhale, let's bring that knee in and up towards our chest. Hold it for a second, and then plant that foot in between our hands. Inhaling up, crescent lunge. In crescent lunge, find your stability, find your foundation, build upon a strong, sturdy foundation for this continuous flow, this powerful pose, sustaining the powerful pose. Active fingers, active arms, feeling the full strength of the pose and using your breath to help keep you sustained in that sustained level of holding the pose. As you breathe in and out, you find your balance. There you go. Exhale, come forward. Meet me in plank. Hold plank. See if you can hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Inhaling up. Exhaling, rolling over the toes. Inhaling your left leg back. Strong. Bringing that left knee in and up. Placing it in between your hands. Finding your foundation before you rise. Remember, we often talk about root to rise. As we push down into the ground, pushing down into the ground helps us to lift up. As we're lifting up in our crescent lunge pose, we want to be able to still elongate, like we did in our breath at the beginning. As we root down, grounding our body, we're also rising, inhaling, elongating. Exhale, come all the way down into plank pose, holding plank. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming down, Chaturanga, inhaling up, having the heart come through the chest, rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. Great. We're going to repeat that process, inhaling up, exhaling, knee in and up, plant, inhaling up, holding the pose, exhaling, come down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming all the way down, inhaling, rolling over the toes, inhaling left leg, knee in and up, planting in between their hands, inhaling up, exhaling down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down, inhaling up, exhaling. Meet me in child's pose. In child's pose, remember that our bum is reaching back towards our heels and we're breathing into our back body. You can widen your knees to have your belly rest in between your inner thighs. Or sometimes I like to have my knees together, so when I'm in child's pose, it actually pushes my belly towards my back, opening up my back even more so. When I round my shoulders over my thighs, it broadens my scapula. Nope. Yes. And it helps me to broaden those muscles on my back body. And then I push breath into that. And when I do that, I hear all kinds of things occurring on my back, like it's creaking and moaning and groaning as it opens up with my breath. It also reminds me that my lungs are three-dimensional and that back body breathing is just as important as side and belly breathing. Okay, let's come into downward facing dog again. Good. In down dog, I want you to shorten the stance just a little bit into a narrow down dog. You're going to draw in with your belly and take your left hand, and you're going to come to the outer edge of the right quad, the right shin, or the right outside edge of the foot. Looking underneath the armpit, really feeling this pose, drawing in with the belly. Twisting, breathing. I like to move a little bit in the pose. Switching sides, taking the right hand to the outer edge of the left quad, the left shin, or the outer edge of the left foot. While you're in this narrow downward facing dog, you're able to twist and move just a little bit more, that you're breathing into this twisted pose, which causes the breath to go again onto the back. Coming out of the pose, I want you to elongate into a plank once again. In this plank, come all the way down. Take Spider-Man Cobra. So this Spider-Man Cobra is where your hands are off of the mat. You're inhaling up, and then come down to your left shoulder down. Inhaling up, right shoulder down. Inhaling up, left. And right. This time, when you inhale up, your left shoulder comes down. Can you lift that right leg up? Twist. When your right shoulder comes down, can you lift the left leg up? Twist. Repeating that process. Left shoulder down, right leg up, twisting over your body. Switching sides. Opposite leg up, twisting. Great. Meet me in hero's pose, this kneeling pose. Good. We're going to begin the process and putting it all together, and we're going to be using these poses with the breath that we've been practicing all along. If you need to take a break, it's not working for you, or you need to take a break in between the two sets, it's perfectly fine. Find your breath and then rejoin me. Okay, hopefully I can remember everything. Okay, come into downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back. That right knee comes in and up towards your chest. Plant the foot. Inhaling up. Whoop. Exhaling, come down. Holding the pose. Slowly coming down. Cobra Up Dog. Rolling over the toes. Inhaling left leg. Knee in and up towards our chest. Planting the foot. Using our breath with our elongation, root to rise. Holding, sustaining, drawing in with the belly. Exhale all the way down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Spider-Man Cobra. Long arms, wide. Inhaling up. One shoulder down. Inhaling up. The other shoulder down. Inhaling up. As my shoulder comes down, I lift the opposite leg up and over. And I move with breath. As I inhale, I exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Moving your body with your breath. Pushing down into the ground, come into child's pose. In child's pose, you want to remember to perhaps rest your forehead on the mat. A grounding process of resting that third eye onto the mat can be just as effective as sitting and grounding through our sits bones. Nice work. As your tailbone reaches down towards your heels, feel the body on the back, feel the breath on the back. The breath can also be a cooling device. We often refer to it as a heating device. As we do our Ujjayi breath, it heats the body up, preparing the body for more rigorous movement. But the breath can also be a cooling device. So as you soften the breath, as even you purse your lips, that can be a cooling effectiveness for cooling the body. You could do this in child's pose or in hero's pose as I am right now. All right, so you're doing great so far. Okay, we're going to build up another kind of flow that will coordinate with our breath in order to sustain our powerful poses. Okay, so meet me in a standing pose at the top of your mat. Finding the four corners of your feet. My feet are at hip bone distance apart. I'm finding my stability. If you're having difficulty finding the four corners of your feet, go ahead and challenge it by rocking side to side and back and forth. And you'll feel the outer and inner edges of each foot. Those are the four corners. Rolling the shoulders back, elongating the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Inhale in, elongating your body. Exhale, come forward. As you inhale into elongating your spine, monkey pose, press down into the mat, step back, exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale up, exhale, roll over the toes, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back, exhale, bringing that knee in and up, and then plant it in between your hands. Inhale up, crescent. Exhale, warrior two. In warrior two, I want you to find your strength in this pose as you reach towards opposite ends of the room, your future, your past, your present. It's right here. Exhale, side angle. In side angle, you can choose whether you want to take the full pose or a binding pose. A full pose is in front of the leg or behind the leg. A binding pose is where you reach through and clasp. Inhale, warrior two. Windmill the back arm forward. Exhale, coming into Chaturanga once again. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back. The left knee in and up towards our chest, planting it in between our hands. Inhale up. Opening up to warrior two. I'm going to turn around. In warrior two, feel the strength of this pose, keeping that front knee bent. If you find your shoulders are up by your ears, have palms up, then return them back. Side angle pose. Again, deciding which version of side angle pose you'd like to take. Inhale up. Windmill that back arm forward, Chaturanga. We're going to do this one more round. Right leg back, coming forward, finding your footing, inhaling up. Warrior two, open up to warrior two. In warrior two, be strong, sturdy, active fingers. Feel the breath. Good. Side angle pose. Resting your forearm without collapsing onto that knee. Now your upper arm can be up by your ear or it can be reaching up towards the sky. But just coming into this pose. Don't want to be collapsing. Good. Warrior two. Windmill that back arm forward, Chaturanga. As you take Chaturanga, lower all the way down. Inhale, pushing down into the ground, chest coming forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg. Exhale, bringing that left knee in and up, then planting it, crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior two. In warrior two, feel the strength of the pose. Side angle. Inhaling up. Windmill that back arm forward, Chaturanga. Great job. Inhaling up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. We're going to do this one more time, but this time we're going to add a little bit. I want you to pay attention to some things that I'm going to be throwing in there. I'm doing this intentionally, so now you've learned about how to coordinate your breath with your movement, but when a teacher throws in surprises at you, can you sustain that breath through these strengthening, powerful poses? Okay, let's find out. You could do it. I have confidence. Okay, so downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back. Exhale, knee in and up. Planting the foot, finding crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior two. This time, reverse warrior. Inhale. Exhale, side angle. Oops. Warrior two. Windmill. Let's keep that right leg up in plank. As we keep the right leg up in plank, you could either decide to lower with that leg up or press it down as when you come into Chaturanga. Exhale all the way down. Inhale up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg. In and up. Plant it. Crescent. Warrior two. In warrior two, finding the strong, powerful pose. Reverse. Side angle. Warrior two. Windmill. Lifting that left leg or coming down, full plank, exhale. Inhale up, downward facing dog. Good. Coming down to hands and knees, we're going to inhale our right our left arm up, thread the needle. Thread the needle, finding the best needle for your pose. Ah, see, my back is talking to me now. I'm already hearing it. It says, thank you. Okay, coming out of the pose and switching sides. Right arm up, thread the needle. Inhale up. Spider-Man Cobra. And we're in Spider-Man Cobra. Widen your arms. Inhale up. Exhale, right shoulder down. Inhale up. Left shoulder down. Inhale up. This time, right shoulder down, left leg. Right shoulder down, left shoulder down. Oh my goodness. Right leg. And then repeat the process. Right shoulder down, left leg. Left shoulder down, right leg. Good. Child's pose. Meet me in child's pose. When you're in child's pose, just rest that forehead against the mat. You can begin your cooling breath by pursing your lips and drawing like you're sipping air through a straw. This dries out your lips and mouth a little bit, but it's very cooling. And it brings that cool air into your body. If you feel you can breathe better when you're not in child's pose, you can come up to hero's pose or listening pose if you're my 5th grader. Great. So our body cools down and kind of recalibrates. We can now prepare ourselves for the next step. So honor your body. Listen to your body. Remember, we've talked about coordinating breath with body movement, but I also want you to not go to pain. That's the next thing that is very important to keep in mind when you are practicing yoga, that you may come into a sensation, but I don't ever want you to come into pain. When you come into pain, I want you to back away. That's not a safe place to practice. No one wants to practice pain. That doesn't get us anywhere. But you could practice sensation, keep it like stored in your brain. Okay, this is where I'm at. This is where my edge is. And then you may be able to, later on down the road, move past that edge. You never know. Okay, coming down to a seated position, we're going to work on our core a bit. And we're going to learn how to breathe in our core when we're using the same muscles that our breath muscles are occupying. So how do we do that? Okay. So good question. I'd like you to first begin by coming into your boat pose. You may want to clasp onto the behind, like the belly of the leg, and support yourself this way. If you find yourself rounding, then you've gone too far. It's important to keep a long back. If you feel like you would like more, you want to practice this with more strength and endurance, then you could release the bind. Having your shoulders back, long back body, the crown of your head is reaching up and away diagonally. You're spreading your toes. That activates this lower part of your back, and you're breathing. If you could do all of that, you're doing yoga. You're doing great. Now, if you want to take this a little bit farther, If you need to take a break, go ahead and do so. Just lower your heels down. But if you're ready to continue, it's like, don't give up. Don't order yet. There's more. Okay. I want you to press through the soles of your feet into the wall in front of you, or the ceiling, or the corner of the ceiling and the wall. Have your toes go out, heels come together. You can support yourself. You can release it and come into this sustained pose. You're breathing. You might be shaking. That's okay. But I want you to breathe. Can you breathe? Inhale and exhale evenly. Can you do that now? It's hard, but I know you can. Exhale, come out of the pose, bringing the knees in and up, taking a breath. You may want to take some water. Great. Go ahead and do that. Continue with the breathing process, breath work. We're going to go back to that same pose, and then we're going to build upon it. Inhale. Finding your pose. Finding which pose works best for you. Staying in boat. Okay, here's the next thing. Can we increase the core area and still breathe? Can you lower your legs and then bring them back up? What? Can you lower your legs and bring them back up? Lower your legs and bring them back up. Bring them into your body. That was fabulous. Nice job. Okay, I don't know about you, but it's probably 90 degrees in this building. Okay. We're going to resume this pose, building on it a little bit more, coordinating our breath. You're going to be fine. Coming into this pose again. Boat, shoulders on the back. Again, listen to your body. You're coming into sensation. You're not coming into pain. Find the pose that works for your body now. You know that you'll be able to build upon it. You know that one day you'll get to that point, but hurting your body now isn't going to get you to that point faster. Okay? Okay, coming into the pose. Lowering. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more time. Inhaling. Exhaling. Knees in. That was great. Good job. Okay, let's take a little twist. So I'd like you to take your right knee over on the outer edge of your thigh, and then your left foot comes underneath you. Pressing down with that top foot, big toe, pressing down into the mat. Good. Hug your knees in and up towards your chest. Crown of your head goes up. Great. If you want to continue this twist, and if you're pregnant, you're not doing this twist. You're opening up towards the unbinded side. If you're not pregnant, it's okay to do the binded side. Opposite elbow to opposite knee. Outer edge, pushing away. Here's the other trick, how to breathe in a twist. Inhale, up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, up. Exhale, twist. Good. You can do this in this twisted pose. You can still inhale up, exhale, twist. And the twist can just be holding the pose, holding the twisted pose. This is fabulous. The twist begins at your belly button and spirals up through and out the crown of your head. Coming out of that pose, I'd like you to take this top foot, and this is called fire log pose. Fire log pose, I don't know. I think there's some geneticness in the hips, why some people are able to do it and some people forever need props. And there really is no judgment that should go around it, because I believe it is where the hip socket is with our body. So, some props that you could use. Taking your rolled up mat or a block or a rolled up towel with a rubber band around it. Finding your fire log. A great way to find ease in the fire log, if you're able to come into the full expression of the pose, is to push down into the mat, lift your bum up, and then put it down. And then that kind of situates the flesh of the bum area with the legs. If you're finding that you need some assistance with props, go ahead and prop up. This will enable you to not hold on with your hip flexors, but actually rest that top knee against a prop. Can you find an elongated spine? Can you breathe through this sensational pose? Please flex your feet, sitting tall, rolling your shoulders back. If this is enough sensation, then stay in this pose and practice the breath work that we've been talking about. Equal and even breathing. If you want to increase the pose, the sensation of it, then you could walk forward. As you walk forward, you find an edge, breathe into it. Then you may be able to extend that edge, breathe into it, taking your head out of the equation. Breathing into your back body. Staying in that pose for 2 more rounds of breath. If you are forward bend, please remain in that pose for at least 2 more rounds of breath. If you're in a seated position, please sit tall, as tall as you can. If you are needing help in elongating your spine, pushing down with your fingertips to help support your spine. You don't want your shoulders to roll in forward, so be mindful of that too. Shoulders back, elongated the spine, supporting the torso in this fire log pose. Breath. Breathe. Exhale. Great. Okay. Switching out legs. So we're going to begin now with the twist. So you're reversing what leg was on top before. That leg is now on top. You're pressing down with the big toe of that upper leg, holding on to the knee in towards our body. The bottom leg has its foot near your bum. You're elongating your spine as you breathe into this twist. If you want to increase this twist, elbow to opposite thigh. Inhale up, exhale twist. This is not about the neck twisting. We already know we can turn our neck with ease. This is about the torso and the upper body breathing and twisting. Remember, the twist comes from the belly button. As you inhale up and twist, I want your torso to twist, not your neck. Inhale up and twist. Inhale up and twist. Pressing down with that upper leg, big toe, grounding, twisting, breathing. Releasing out of that twist, fire log. Great. Finding your pose. You may need to push down into the ground to inhale your bum up, finding it, situating it, squaring it. Flexing the feet. If you need a prop, you could use that prop underneath the top knee. That's fine. If you want more sensation in this pose, exhale, coming forward, finding your edge, breathing into it, waiting a while, being patient with your body. Exhale, maybe coming a little bit farther. Now, my movement into this process may be a little rushed for you. So you need to listen to your body and move at your pace. My breath, my pace may be a little bit different than yours. While we're in this pose, find your breath, and move accordingly. Inhale, coming up to a seated position, and then taking your feet wide, maybe mat width distance. And I'd like you to roll one knee in and then the other. Some people call this the windshield wiper pose. That sounds pretty good. We're gonna call it that. By the way, do you guys like my shirt? Garden yoga. I've been doing a lot of gardening, and I found this shirt. Okay, so coming onto our back, we're gonna be doing bridge a little bit differently. I learned this in class last night. So again, when we come into bridge pose, I want you to clasp your take your fingertips and find the heels of your feet. Good job. And this time, when you come into bridge pose, I want you to take your hands and press them in towards each other like a prayer position. But I want you to push in towards each other. So your hands are pushing like this, in towards each other. Your elbows are not down, your elbows are up, but your shoulders aren't up. Got it? So you're pushing in towards each other. It sounds awkward, but watch. Coming into this, pushing your hands in towards each other. Inhale your hips up, pushing in towards your hands in towards each other. Exhale down. Inhale up, maybe a little bit higher. Your chin is up. There's space behind your neck. You're pushing in with your hands. Exhale down. This time we're going to inhale up and we're going to hold it for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, come down. Nice work, everybody. One more time. Inhaling up, push in with your hands. Lift your hips up high. Back palate of your head against the mat. Chin up, space behind your neck. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And coming down. And release. Good. Once again, when we come into these poses that are powerful, strengthening poses, I'm not asking you to hold your breath. I still want you to breathe through these poses. So we're going to come into a series that's nearing the end of our cooling down, but it does activate the core one more time. I want you to remember, it's not about holding your breath, it's about breathing through the pose. When you breathe through the pose, you're able to sustain the pose. Okay, I'll put this on the other side. Okay, so we've been doing this, I think, all the sessions that I've been teaching in front of you virtually. So you're elongating your left leg. It's parallel to the floor and hovering. And then you have your right knee in. Then you push the knee away so it's tabletop. Your belly button pulls down. The lower back presses down into the mat. You push your quad away. The quad pushes back. Draw down with your belly button. That requires a pelvic tilt. Push, push. Draw down. Extend with that long leg. Breathing into this pose. Push, push. Draw down. Extend. Push, push. Draw down. Extend. Push, push, draw down, extend. And release, hug in the knees in towards your chest. Good. Extend with your right leg, pushing onto your quad. Quad pushes back. As you push away, you draw down with your belly button and you extend with that elongated leg. Push, push, draw down, extend. Keep breathing. Your breath should be like this cycle. Keep breathing while you do this. This causes a lot of energy and sensation in the in the core. Good. Push, push, draw down, extend. Push, push, draw down, extend, and release. Go ahead and stretch long. Whew. Breathe in and out. Breathe into that belly. If you have a prop, go ahead and take your prop and put it underneath your hips to kind of blossom out that belly so you can put breath into your belly, the one area that you have just contracted. If you don't have a prop, then go ahead and maybe come into bridge pose using your triceps and the soles of your feet to lift your hips up. But broadening that belly and breathing into the belly is a great counter pose to what we just did. Okay. Breathe a few times, a few rounds of breath in this pose. Breathing into the belly, full breaths, full belly breathing. Great. Okay, come all the way down to your back. Good. Cooling down your body, taking your right knee in towards your chest, and then this is half happy baby, clasping on to the outer edge of your right foot. I like to extend my left leg long as I have my right foot parallel to the ceiling. And then switch out, half happy baby on the other side. But both legs are active. I'm not letting one just hang in space. As my breath calms down and cools down, I still want to be mindful of it, that it's equal. That I'm using my breath to maximally assist my body. Okay. Come into spinal twist. Having your knees come to one side and your gaze is in the opposite direction. So your knees are to the left and you're gazing over your right shoulder. Both shoulders are pressing down into the ground. Good. I like to breathe into my belly. I like to take 5 breaths into my spinal twist. After your 5 breaths, or in your spinal twist, I want you to switch sides. So your knees are now going in the other direction, and your gaze in the opposite direction of your knees. This is not a pose to rush through. Breathing 5 breaths into your belly. Let your belly rise and push into your hands. If your hands are on your belly, let that breath push your hands away. After your 5th breath, find your Shavasana, laying flat on the ground or in a comfortable seated position. Find the pose that works for you. If you need to take any other pose before Shavasana, now's the time to do it. If you need to invert, if you need to get your hips over your heart over your head, go ahead and do that. When you are in Shavasana, I want you to just internally scan your body. Perhaps the head presses down into the ground. Perhaps the shoulder blades press down into the ground. The hips press down into the ground. The heels press down. The backs of the hands. You have unclenched your jaw. Your eyes are resting. Your fingers are not in a fist, but relaxed. And your mind is at ease. Breathing evenly and equally. Let your next exhalation be deeper than the last one. Slowly, gently roll over to your side. Feel the ground below you in this new orientation of your body. Feel the pressure points. Pressing down into the ground, push away from the ground to come into a comfortable cross-legged seated position. I like to elevate my bum to elongate my lower back and allow my belly to breathe. Find the seated position that works best for you. Sitting tall, crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. Inhale your arms up and overhead, pressing the palms in towards each other. Exhaling, hands down in towards the heart. 2 more times. Inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. Pressing the thumbs into your sternum, rolling your shoulders back. Thanking yourself and your community for taking the time to be here, for your community for supporting this practice. Sending a peaceful mind and a peaceful heart out into the world. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.